I come in, sir?
Please come.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, sirs.
Please have a seat. You are Vidyanshu. Please introduce yourself.
Sir, I am Vidyanshu Shekhar Jha from Ranchi, Jharkhand. After my schooling, I went to VIT University for civil engineering. After that, I started preparing for this exam. Through Civil Service Exam 2022, I was allotted Danix service. There I had taken EOL to prepare for this exam. Meanwhile, next year I was also recommended for Indian Forest Service. So presently I am in Indian Forest Service. I joined this December only.
Okay. So you are getting training, or after training you have been posted in the Forest Service?
No, sir. My training has started just in December, but I have been allotted cadre, Madhya Pradesh.
Madhya Pradesh cadre. Okay. Okay, Vidyanshu, you are already in the All India Services. You are working, you have been selected and joined the Forest Services. Why you want to be in the Civil Services? Forest Service is also a civil service.
Sir, Forest Service is a great service. It is great honor of my life. But here in IAS, there is greater diversity of role. And similarly in Foreign Service, there is this great prestige of being representative of so many people. So these are few services that I am interested in, right?
If diversity is concerned, earlier you were in Danix, so there you got the same diversity. Then why did you leave that service to join the Forest Services?
It is, in Danix also I was actually very happy, but in Forest Service, because it is an all India service, so there are own opportunities for career advancement and deputation. However, I was also very happy in Danix.
Okay, you want to go for diversity or for the career progression?
Sir, I think both would be an excellent option. So IAS offers that.
Okay. Okay, you are from Jharkhand, eh?
Yes, sir.
And you have taken anthropology as one of your optionals, eh? as your optional. Can you tell me some famous tribes of Jharkhand?
Sir, major tribes are Santhal, Munda, Oraon, and then we also have PVTGs like Ho, Birhor, Asur. So they make up around total 26% of Jharkhand's population.
Okay. Can you tell me what are the main problems of Jharkhand or these days?
Sir, first is that despite being a mineral-rich state, Jharkhand lags behind in development indicators. It has around 40% poverty rate. It registers third last in HDI index. So that is first. Secondly, because of these development, whatever displacement it has led to of indigenous communities. So this has created a resentment in society where tribal people are displaced, and because they have not been able to catch up with same level of development, there is a social tension between tribal and non-tribal. And third, this stage is still yet not fully rid of problem of Naxalism. And finally, we have only recently started seeing political stability, which was absent earlier. These are some issues.
Okay, what the present government is doing regarding Naxalism? There are any special efforts by the present government or a special initiative by them?
Sir, I'm only aware of the generic initiative that has been coordinated by MHA, and an entire corridor along Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh is being worked upon in a coordinated manner. When I was going to school, those days, around 14-15 districts were Naxal affected. Today, that number has come down to 5 affected districts and only 1 most affected district in Jharkhand. So there is a considerable progress in this regard.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Vidyanshu.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
There is a famous saying, future belongs to those who prepare for it today. What is your take on this?
Ma'am, it means that we cannot be at top position by being what everyone else is doing. We must be thinking ahead of others. For example, when other countries were preparing for computers, the American companies were working on AI, ChatGPT kind of thing, and today suddenly they are leading everywhere. Similarly, China, where it is today, it has started its industrial development in early 70s. So today they are leading. So to move ahead, we have to start preparing early.
Suppose your personal values clash with your official duties at some stage. How you will tackle the situation?
Ma'am, Can I explain this with an example? Say I am a forest officer and there is a project where, say, forest clearance has to be provided, and let's say the project has high political value and my personal value does not allow to grant for forest clearance. So one option is that I oppose the project, and because there is so much of political weightage, I will be transferred. However, I will take a different approach where, because I am posted as an officer, I will use my skills and negotiating power to minimize the impact that can be done. For example, in Maharashtra, what happened, I interacted with one of my seniors. So to create space for a religious site, what ma'am did was, although she gave land, but she ensured that minimum amount of land is taken and contiguous land is taken, and she took an undertaking that the charity institution will not ask for land in future. She took undertaking. So instead of opposing the project, she minimized the impact while being there. So it was a great lesson for me.
But that means you will not be able to optimize the efficiency. In that, if you are taking the middle way, might be you would have taken the different side. There it would have been a better one. So that means in this you will not be able to optimize your decision because of the pressure, political pressure.
Ma'am, if I had resisted, then as a bureaucrat, I would have been transferred and they would have gotten a yes man to approve it. And to that could have led to larger scale clearing of forest. So when my senior ma'am was there, her presence ensured that the damage was minimized and the charitable institution.
But that means, is it not that when you will be selected next year, that always in the bureaucracy, there's some political pressures would definitely be there. So is it not that you will always be in some stress and still you want to take it out? Why? Because all these are obvious things. These pressures will always be there. How you will handle the situation at that time?
Ma'am, many a times when we tell political heads that this is not how it is to be done, I cannot do it, they often listen to us. It is only sometimes that the pressure is so much that they refuse to listen to us and we are told either you proceed or will be transferred. Most of the time they do listen to officers, especially the officers who are considered competent. So I will try to make my career as a competent officer, and I will always give honest advice to my political heads.
Have you ever heard about this cryptocurrency? Yes. What do you know about that? And how it works?
Cryptocurrency includes coins like Bitcoin, Doge, etc. And they are based on mining of some mathematical formulas and calculation, which is done by some advanced computer. And once one has mined, a typical coin is generated. And integrity, because the coin has been generated with some mining process, that ensures its face value, and often they are traded on market. But there is a downside that because of its crypto nature, it is difficult to ascertain who is the owner, and they can be used for shady purposes as well.
It's difficult to ascertain, but I don't have any keys or anything that I can know that how much cryptocurrency I have. Then how I'll trade? If I don't know how much I own, how I'll trade?
Sorry, ma'am. My answer was in reference to law enforcement agency and government. That it is difficult to ascertain.
Okay, my last question is, what's your take on Uniform Civil Code?
Ma'am, Uniform Civil Code by its nature was actually a progressive legislation which aimed to ensure uniformity across religion, and it must be clarified that it only seeks uniformity, not one law for every religion, but rather uniformity. However, it should be implemented in its spirit so that the societies progress and they are not punished. For example, Uttarakhand's Uniform Civil Code, the state mandates registration of couples, which in my opinion may not be necessary and can further threaten their identity. So I believe that it must be implemented in its true spirit.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello, Vidyanshu.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. You follow Indian defense news. Tell me something about this theatre command.
Sir, theatre command is idea that all the forces, Air Force, Army, Navy, they must be joined together and separate theatre based on each front shall be created. This is based on US concept. They also have unified combatant commands. So here we are looking for one dedicated command for China front, for Pakistan front.
Suggest a structure for India's, like the situation India is facing.
Sir, my advice would be one theatre command should be China specific, one should be Jammu Kashmir specific, and one should be Pakistan specific, and then we can have a naval command.
Okay. So what will be, how assets of Air Force will be divided among these?
Sir, as per the former Air Chief Marshal of India, the air assets are mobile assets. Quickly they can be deployed from one zone to another. So division of assets are not necessary. Even in US, for example, their transport aircraft, they only have a handful of transport aircraft. So they have not divided it geographically. What they have called is, it is under air mobile command. So there is one command and it goes everywhere.
So practically we already have land-based command based on the structure you suggested. We have a Jammu Kashmir based command, Northern Command, Pakistan based other commands. So what's new we are doing?
Sir, there are two differences. First of all, presently the army has 7 commands. In the structure I have proposed, those number of commands will be reduced. Secondly, once the joint commands have come up, there will be greater integration within services. So for example, during Iraq war, a commander of a Bradley fighting vehicle, he could order a strike from Air Force directly without going through the bureaucratic process. So this is the jointness that we are looking at. That ground soldiers directly get support from Air Force directly get support from Navy.
Okay. Won't it be better we start integrating our training, supply chain, integration of those things first, then think about assets?
Sir, training remains unique to each service. Navy has its own set of training, Air Force has a different training. So I believe training should still remain different, especially in the initial phases. Later on, there can be some jointness, but supply chain certainly can be integrated, sir.
Okay. Okay. You heard about F-35? There are talks in India about procuring it, USA making an offer. But last week only one country has taken a step back from procuring F-35. You heard about it?
About that country, sir?
Portugal has taken some steps. Okay. In that scenario, due to Trump's little unpredictability of his decision making, Portugal has taken a step back. In those lines, do you think India should move ahead for procuring F-35?
Sir, largely my answer would be negative. First of all, US trade offers, defense offers, they come with a string attached. We may not have complete independence in operating them. Even in case of Pakistan, they often resort to stopping of spare parts in case to build pressure. Secondly, we are having our own advanced medium combat aircraft program ongoing. To meanwhile fill the shortage, we can speed up our Tejas aircraft to fill the shortfall. And we have learned this lesson from Ukraine war that strategic independence must be achieved. One cannot remain dependent on others. So
there is another school of thought which says in the era of these air defense systems, these aircrafts are becoming useless. Do you agree with them?
Sir, I don't agree with this, especially with regard to latest generation of fighter planes. So, for example, we have S-400 air defense system, which is considered world's best. But it is considered that it won't be able to lock a F-35 as close as 25-30 kilometers. So, F-35 is largely immune to any defense provided by S-400. So, when it comes to latest fighter, it is safe. For obsolete fighter, air defense are still credible.
Now you are entering into forest services also. You are already there. That is a complete different philosophy from defense. There we talk about sustainable development. And here it is more of a, revenue-based expenditure kind of those things. What do you think India should prioritize? Defense expenditure or expenditure towards sustainable development?
Sir, I remind myself one thing. Lord Buddha has said that in a conclusive victory, both sides should win. So, defense expenditure is equally important given the neighbors that we have. But because India is a growing country, so sustainable development is also necessary. What we can do is defense expenditure can remain capped to around, say, 2% GDP. At the same time, we should focus on making our indigenous domestic defense industry stronger so that the revenue comes back to the country itself. At the same time, focus shall be on economic development as well as environmental conservation. as a forest officer, we are often told that India takes pride in fact that despite being a developing country, we have been able to increase our forest cover, which is a very rare achievement for any country. So I see ourselves doing a very good job in this front, and I'll suggest that we continue in the same direction.
Okay. My last question will be, recently only Trump made a suggestion to other global leaders, especially to Putin and Chinese premier, that we should cut our defense budget. While Putin broadly agreed to it, what do you think India should act like if such suggestion is made to India also?
Sir, in case of India, I would say our defense expenditure should remain at an optimum level of say 2.5% of GDP, not beyond that. In case of other countries, Russia has been spending a lot on defense, more than around 10% of their GDP. And now that Russia is looking for a ceasefire, probably they can scale back. At the same time, Trump expects NATO country to expand their defense expenditure. Earlier, he was talking about 2%. Now, he's even asking for up to 5% of defense expenditure. So, I think our strategic independence should be our matter, and we should not be driven by what US is saying.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Vidyanshu, I still don't get it. Why IS now? You are already in the All India service. Plus, I was seeing your list of preferences. You have chosen almost all other central services also in a way over IFS. Why is it so?
Sir, actually, I joined Forest Service on 9th December, and on 13th December, DAF came. So that time I was only 4 days into service. My understanding was limited, and even my cadre was not allotted. So just to keep my options open, I applied for all Group A services. However, now that I have some understanding of service and my cadre has been allotted, sir, I would consider maybe up to IRS, but not beyond that.
So you are saying IAS, IPS and IRS are better than IFS?
No, sir, all have their own significance. All are good in their own ways. My preference would be up to IRS probably.
Okay. Any particular reason? I still don't get it.
Sir, in IAS, there is lot of diversity of role, and one can see effect of their actions immediately. There is lot of satisfaction. Say, for example, when I was in Danix, although I had taken extraordinary leave, but for common people, they don't understand Danix, they understood SDM. So even children in my locality were motivated कि देखो भैया SDM बन गए. There was a lady in my neighborhood who was victim of domestic abuse. She told my mother कि आंटी अब मेरे को कोई परेशान नहीं करते क्योंकि भैया SDM बन गया ना सामने. So there is lot of impact on society that we can create, and our actions have immediate result. In case of Forest Service, today I start plantation or restoring green cover. My satisfaction might come after 20-30 years. So again, that is equally important job.
It also has to do with power and status attached with the job.
So that factor is also there, I would certainly admit. But for me, it was more driven by my desire to become a good student in my own eyes, give my best in the exams. For rest of it, it is for the Honorable Commission to determine.
Okay. Let's consider you are heading a committee which is suggesting reforms about overall reformation of the civil services recruitment cycle throughout, from the starting to the end. Now there is a proposal saying a candidate once selected should not be allowed to appear for the exam again, considering overall vacancies, considering that exchequer amount would again be spent on training, which a candidate has already done. So as a member of that committee or a chairperson of that committee, what would your suggestion would be? So your answer needs to be in isolation of what you have presently opted, right? So it's a neutral answer I'm expecting.
Sir, I don't have any problem with this advice. In fact, even in my opinion, all services should be equal. But in that case, all services must be provided equal opportunity to perform in their career. Presently, say all India services have special privileges which other services do not get. In my forest service, after level 13, we get level 13, and only that after we get promoted to level 14. So as long as this discrepancy remains, then aspirants will have this aspiration to switch their services. So probably every service needs to have equal opportunity, and then I don't think anybody would have any problem.
But you are in the favor of this rule, barring a candidate once selected?
Sir, if the service conditions are equal, then I am in favor. If one cannot provide level playing, then I think it is unfair.
They should be there. Okay. Just tell me, recently Tamil Nadu has come up with its own sign in place of Devanagari sign. How do you see that?
Sir, I see it as an unfortunate development in center-state tussle. I mean, this kind of problem could have been avoided. It only
Who is at fault?
Sir, I would say linguistic chauvinism is at fault. I mean, there should have been more maturity at both center and state to deal with this problem. Say, it originated from center's reluctance to release fund for Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan. Maybe center could have been more accommodative towards the state. And maybe state could have avoided this changing symbol of rupee. Otherwise, it only aggravates the problem and common people suffer when center and state fight.
Okay, my last question. Would you prefer an officer wife or a not officer but working wife or a housewife?
Sir, I would prefer a person who is compatible with me, whether she is officer or housewife.
No, it can be like you have a choice for a service, you can have a choice for the partner also. There's no harm in that, right? I'm just asking, what is your preference?
Sir, my preference would be that the person I'm meeting has similar values and behavior that are with me, and so that we both can respect each other and we both can enjoy our life together. Apart from that, her working status, whether she prefers to work or not, is her choice, and I will respect that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Vidyanshu,
Ma'am.
what's the meaning of your name?
Ma'am, it means part of Vidya, part of knowledge. My mother's name is Vidya, hence my parents named me like that.
Okay, you think Vidya and knowledge are same?
Yes, ma'am. Vidya and knowledge are same thing.
If they're same, why is there a mention of various Indian terms in the NEP? To give you a glimpse, in the new education policy, which has just been wanting to be implemented, there are certain non-translatable terms. So, why was it that Vidya became knowledge? And various terms in NEP, like the values which are being taught and which are fraught with so much of diversity in the Indian milieu, are not resonating with people. And so it was made a mandate under the Indian knowledge system that they should be retained as such without getting translated.
Ma'am, it is India's diversity that one size fit all approach cannot be done in India. However, we need to retain some traditional system for the sake of their originality. Say recently there was a scene where in New York, masala dosa was written in some fancy English, and it created a lot of backlash. That if it is masala dosa, it shall be considered like that. So true identity must always be maintained, but at the same time, when in a country like as diverse as India, NEP must provide a scope for states to adjust to their own diversity. For the same reason, the Honorable Education Minister in Parliament mentioned that NEP is for states to implement. Center has only advisory role.
Okay. So, coming back to the same question, you think Vidya knowledge is the same?
Ma'am, this is based on my limited knowledge, but I will check it.
Okay. You have also been a part of the Vedic camp. How many Ved are there?
4 Ved, ma'am. Rig Ved, Yajur Ved, Samved, Atharved.
Okay. And what are the 10 principles of Arya Samaj?
Ma'am, we memorized these principles in Hindi in our school. So some of the principles were like वेदों का पढ़ना पढ़ाना सुनना सुनाना सभी आर्यों का परम धर्म है, अविद्या की नाश और विद्या की वृद्धि करनी चाहिए, संसार का उपकार करना इस समाज का मुख्य उद्देश्य है. So basically it was around ethical and moral principle that they wished to inculcate in us so that a better society, better individual could come out.
When we were so rooted in our culture, why is it that in ground level there is no implementation at a large scale in schools, specifically in education, especially in your home cadre?
Sorry ma'am, could you repeat the question?
If we are so inclined towards such strong values and belief systems, why is it that in your home cadre there was not, one doesn't see a strong implementation when it comes to education of these such values?
Ma'am, I have yet not visited my cadre, only it has been allotted. So my knowledge about it is still limited.
Okay, to again rephrase my question, when it comes to the Indian value system, then despite India being rich in its heritage and cultural values, why is it that schools are not able to implement it in a practical form and it remains only in the books?
Ma'am, part of mistake also lies with us that we haven't been able to show utility of these traditional systems. For example, if we teach somebody in Sanskrit, then it remains in book, but Sanskrit has very limited practical daily life application. Similarly, our traditional Ayurveda, similar medicines, again, they are falling behind the Western counterparts. So a part of blame also lies with us. That
So you think not enough is being done with respect to research and development?
Yes, ma'am. And in fact, even our own emphasis is lying behind. What we can do is we start making like say traditional Indian medicine system. They should be more R&D should be provided so that they can provide cheap treatment to other patients who cannot afford modern English medicine.
But in a lot of tribes in India, there is now this schemes which are getting implemented and advanced about their traditional knowledge, indigenous practices. So it's not that India is lacking behind, but why is it that at a mass scale it's not yet taken up at a large scale? What are the gaps? The awareness is there, but its propagation or wide scale implementation is still a gap. Why?
Ma'am, first of all, because these things are limited in scale. For example, one example I read was about Kani tribe in Kerala, that they have been able to produce this Arogya Pach medicine and they are getting some royalty. But these things are first of all very limited in scale. Secondly, we believe that outside knowledge system, Western system, they are far more advanced and we have our own reluctance towards these things. And third, the modern systems offer often quick results. And we don't wish to wait for it. So these might be some reasons.
Okay, my last two questions. Do you read books?
Apart from my courses, no ma'am. Not
Okay. Do you watch movies?
yet. Few.
Which has been the most recent movie which has influenced you?
Ma'am, Bhag Milka Bhag.
What has influenced you about that movie?
Ma'am, he did not give up despite his initial failures, and it was his zeal for his dream that he kept fighting, and finally he reached his top.
Thank you, Vidyanshu.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Vidyanshu.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
May I come in, sir?
Please come. Please have a seat.
Thank you.
Vidyanshu, what do you think about your mock?
Sir, at few points I thought I was in a hurry. I could have taken more time and given more balanced answer.
Okay. Which answers?
Sir.
Just come
relax,
out.
Relax.
Relax. Just tell us. This is not the interview.
Sir, few answers across the members.
Okay. Okay. Your plus points are many. You are a very good candidate. No problem about your confidence. Your content is excellent. Your body language is okay. Eye contact is fine. You are already working in the forest service. You have experience of Danics also. But you should say no when you don't know. Okay? And there were few questions from ma'am. Initially, you said you agree to a point. But finally, you said you will go through it. Like Vidya and knowledge. Okay? If you don't know, you tell don't know. Because it will not go in your favor. Okay? That was one point. Otherwise, there is no issue. You are a very good candidate. And थोड़ा आपका शूज अगर अच्छे पहन के जाओगे, आपका नेक टाई थोड़ा ठीक करना पड़ेगा और ये लंबा भी है आपका बहुत टाइम.
But you will be wearing a different tie.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Actually, sir, just our Bharat Darshan got over. I came
So you directly came
yes,
there.
sir.
Okay. And expect many questions because you have experience in Danics. You are already working in forest service. This panel didn't drill you much. Still, I'm not satisfied why you want to join the IAS. Because you are already in a group pay service. You talked about the succession, you talked about the various promotional avenues and about the diversity. Still, you think something better. Because there is a contradiction. You are talking about a diversity. You get a diversity in Danics. You will get the same diversity in Danics. From Danics, you are entering a forest service, which is a specific service. From specific service, you are coming back to again to diversity. Okay, you can tell that Danics you will have in IAS, you will reach at the top. Okay, that is there. But you need to answer in a better way. Okay, diversity alone is not enough. You talk about in Danics, you can tell that I will be more at the middle level. In IAS, you can reach at the top. Okay. And in forest service, you will have only one thing. Here, again, you are coming. You need to be more elaborative. You are only telling that diversity and progression in the services. You need to think something more also. Because there will be many questions on this only. Your half interview, I think, going to be on this subject only. You already in Danics, then you are already forest service, then again you are appearing.
And
Then
very
he
quickly
already
also.
asked, I just wanted to ask you why you have given so many preferences. Because you have already in the all India services, you have given preferences so many group A services, which are not as good as forest service.
See, we also know why you want it. They would also know why you want it. But still you'll have to say, right? Some reason has to be there. So just think it through. Should, little realistic or a practical way, as sir said. Rest everything is fine only.
In the initial stages, you will little bit conscious, but just 5 minutes, thoda sa, jo mujhe laga, I have noted down, but
Ma'am, actually, like whole night I was traveling only, and just
so
this morning.
you were
I just woke up.
tired.
Yes, ma'am. Could not even sleep properly.
you be at ease when in the interview. In the first 5 minutes, you were very conscious. After that, you
Became comfortable.
made yourself comfortable, but from the very beginning, you make yourself comfortable. Okay, just a conversation. You are already been tested for your knowledge. Okay, anything you want to know?
No, sir. It was a very pleasant experience for me.
Because
Okay, all the best. all the
Whatever
best.
sir said, please follow it. And because in your case, threshold would be high. Board would
Very
be
high.
expecting more from you. So that is why. Okay? Yeah.
Because their panel is sitting to give you employment. You are already employed. And that you are employed in All India service, which is considered in the government's eyes equal to IAS.
And one of the best cadre.
One of the
Best
best cadre. So you need to be little bit more authoritative, not authoritative, more deliberative. Why you want to be nice? Okay.
All the best.
All the best.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Wish you all very good.